What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. Okay, so Mitch McConnell, he was on the Senate floor, and we're going to take a look at what he said. And did he talk about the stimulus package? So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so we're going to play Mitch McConnell and Bernie Sanders. Now, Chuck Schumer, he also spoke, but I don't want to make this video too long. So we're just going to have the two, Mitch McConnell and Bernie Sanders. And as far as Chuck Schumer, he is the minority leader of the Senate, and he was basically just asking for an up or down vote for the $2,000 stimulus checks as well as the defense spending bill. And so the leader, Mitch McConnell, did object to that. And so we'll play Mitch McConnell, and then we'll play Bernie Sanders. So let's go ahead and go.
Now, on another matter, on Sunday, President Trump signed into law another historic bipartisan rescue package. It will provide major support to American families through what we hope will be the home stretch of our fight with the coronavirus. Congressional Republicans, Congressional Democrats, and President Trump's senior team had all worked together to pass hundreds of billions more dollars in urgent assistance to the people who need it most. This new law will set up a targeted second round of Paycheck Protection to save jobs. It will renew and continue federal programs that have helped laid-off workers endure the crisis. It will send more cash to households. It will invest billions in vaccine distribution so the success of Operation Warp Speed kills the pandemic as fast as possible, and much more. This bipartisan compromise was our shot at getting help to working families on the urgent timeline that they need. Once again, I want to applaud President Trump for signing the bill and getting this much-needed assistance into the pipeline. During this process, the President highlighted three additional issues of national significance he would like to see Congress tackle together. First, as he explained, the President would like further direct financial support for American households. Second is the growing willingness on both sides of the aisle to at least re-examine the special legal protections afforded to technology companies under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, including the ways it benefits some of the most prosperous, most powerful big tech firms. And the third subject, since every American, regardless of their politics, should feel the integrity of our democracy is beyond reproach, is exploring further ways to protect the sanctity of America's ballots while continuing to respect the federal government's limited role in standing behind state and local government who actually run elections. Those are the three important subjects the President has linked together. This week, the Senate will begin a process to bring these three priorities into focus.
Okay, so he's saying bring them into focus. That doesn't mean bring them to the floor. That's what we want. We know the House already passed the $2,000 stimulus checks. We need to bring that to the floor. And so Chuck Schumer comes on after this and basically says, look, we need to do an up or down vote. We can do an up or down vote for defense spending bill as well as the $2,000 stimulus checks. That's what we want. And then Mitch McConnell objected to that. And then after that, then Bernie Sanders came on because he objected to the fact that we're not doing an up or down vote. He wants the up or down vote. So let's go ahead and play Bernie Sanders. Here we go.
Is there objection to the modification?
Object.
Objection is heard. Is there objection to the original request? The senator from Vermont.
Thank you, Madam President. Reserving the right to object. We should all be very, very clear. The working class of this country today faces more economic desperation than at any time since the Great Depression of the 1930s. And working families need help now. Not next year, but right now. Last night, the House of Representatives, with a 2/3 majority, 275 to 134, 2/3 bipartisan vote, moved to increase the direct payment going to working families from $600 per adult to $2,000 per adult. The House did the right thing I congratulate them, and now it is time for the Senate to step up to the plate and do what the working families of this country overwhelmingly want us to do.
Yeah, and like I talked about this earlier in the earlier video that I put out, 2/3, they got 2/3 in the House to say, yes, we're on board for this $2,000 stimulus check. The Senate needs to address this. They can't just let this go. So we'll have to see. I mean, Mitch McConnell did bring it up, but he didn't say that he was going to bring it to the floor yet. So we'll have to see where it goes with that.
Madam President, as a result of the pandemic, tens of millions of Americans have lost their jobs and their incomes. These families in the middle of the winter now face the threat of eviction and the possibility of being thrown out in the streets. Hunger in America is at the highest level that it has been for decades, with moms and dads struggling to feed their kids and working families lining up mile after mile to get emergency food packages. We are even seeing an increase in grocery store shoplifting.
Is that amazing? Grocery store shoplifters, they're seeing an increase in that because people are starving. And so they're going into grocery stores and stealing things, stealing food. It's crazy.
As desperate Americans try to keep their families from going hungry. All of this taking place in the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
And another thing, too, when he's talking about the wealthiest country in the world, we are a superpower. Other countries are looking at us right now thinking, you guys are a superpower, but you're arguing over a $600 stimulus check. I mean, it's crazy. And in their country, they're giving out $2,000 or more. Some of them are doing reoccurring payments. And they're looking at us like, are you guys really the superpower? Do you really have all this money and all this clout? Because you're not taking care of your people. So, I mean, that should be one of the things that politicians should be ashamed of. The fact that we're arguing over a $600 stimulus check. And some politicians don't even think that people deserve that. These are taxpayer dollars. It's not their money. It's not the politicians' money. It's the people's money. And they're saying, no, you know what? You don't even deserve that. It's amazing. Let's go ahead and continue.
Madam President, over the last number of years, as I think everybody in America knows, Congress has provided massive tax breaks for the very wealthiest people in our country, which is one of the reasons why today we have more income and wealth inequality than any time since the 1920s. In fact, in the midst of this pandemic, this terrible pandemic, inequality has grown worse, with many in the billionaire class seeing their wealth increase by hundreds of billions of dollars, while average Americans struggle to put food on the table. Congress has given huge tax breaks to large corporations so that some of the most profitable and largest corporations in America today pay zero in federal income taxes. We have just passed the largest military budget in the history of our country, $740 billion, more than the next 10 nations combined.
More than the next 10 nations combined. That's our military spending. This is what they're overriding. President Trump vetoed this. They want to override that veto in the Senate. The House has already done it. And so we spend that much money on our military. And rightfully so. We need to be protected. I agree with that. But you can't tell me you want to spend all that money on the military, but then when it comes to the American people and just allowing them to have food on the table, you're saying no? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
And by the way, there was almost no debate about the size of that huge budget. Trump's veto dealt with other issues. Meanwhile, Over 500,000 Americans are homeless. Half of our working families are struggling to survive paycheck to paycheck. And in the midst of this terrible, unprecedented pandemic, over 90 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured in the midst of a pandemic, and they're not sure whether they can afford to go to a doctor. Madam President, we are coming to the close of one of the most terrible and painful years in American history. That is a tragic fact. Over 330,000 of our people have died from COVID-19, and as we speak, we are seeing record-breaking numbers of new cases and hospitals around the country being overwhelmed with new admissions. During the last year, the education and well-being of tens of millions of our young people, from childcare to graduate school, has been disrupted. And the terrible emotional isolation that this pandemic has caused, where people are unable to spend time with their family or their friends, has resulted in a huge increase in mental illness, drug addiction, and even suicide. Madam President, as I mentioned, the House has done the right thing. By an overwhelming vote, Democrats and Republicans voted to increase that $600 direct payment to $2,000. Recent poll came out. 78% of the American people think that was the right decision. They're hurting. They want help. The leaders of our country, President Trump, President-elect Biden, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, are all in agreement.
So just think about that. The only one that's standing in the way right now is Mitch McConnell. Now, you might have some Republican senators that will vote no on the $2,000 stimulus checks, but the only hurdle, I mean, we need to get past Mitch McConnell in order to allow for the vote. So the only one right now that is refusing to do an immediate vote when it comes to this stimulus check is Mitch McConnell.
We have got to raise that direct payment to $2,000. So that is where we are right now in this historic moment. Do we turn our backs on struggling working families, or do we respond to their pain? So, Madam President, would the senator modify his request that immediately following the vote on the veto override, the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 9051, that the bill be considered read a third time and the Senate vote on passage of the bill without intervening action or debate. Further, that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection to the request for modification?
Object.
Objection is heard.
So there was Mitch McConnell's objection to moving forward right now with the $2,000 stimulus check. Now, Mitch McConnell has not indicated if he's going to bring it to the floor or not. He has not indicated that. But as far as what Bernie Sanders wanted them to vote on the defense spending bill to override that, and then vote right after that, vote on the $2,000 stimulus check, up or down vote. And you saw Mitch McConnell's response. So it's still unclear. We don't know what Mitch McConnell's going to do with this, but he is, at this point, he is the one that's holding everything up. You already have it passed in the House. You know that the president wants $2,000 stimulus checks. You know that there are senators, and there's more good news when it comes to the senators. Those two Georgia senators, they're now on board for this $2,000 stimulus check. So the Republican senators, they haven't spoke out, but they spoke out earlier today and said that they're on board, that they're for the $2,000 stimulus checks. So with Josh Hawley and Mark Rubio, that's 4 Republican senators that are on board right now. And I'm sure there are more. I'm sure that there are more out there, but Mitch McConnell needs to call it to the floor. He needs to call this to the floor. So we're going to have to see what happens, where it goes from here. Bernie Sanders has already indicated that he will not move forward. He will have an objection to the defense spending bill if we can't do at least an up or down vote on the $2,000 stimulus checks. So I want to know what you guys think about all this. So let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.